What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Living Blessed, the podcast. I'm your host, Jovan J. Palmer, and as always, we got special people coming on, sharing special, vulnerable, and truthful moments, and no other than Miss Great Wendy. We got on today. How you doing, Wendy?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm great. How was your day today?
I had a great day.
Good.
Very short, but of course, as a mom, it tends to get long. But it was productive and eventful.
Good. So, appreciate you coming out to the podcast.
You're welcome.
So like I said, in the intro, we just talk about just vulnerable, transparent moments. Give us an introduction of your life. Where are you from? All that good jazz. You got any siblings? Whatever you feel like comfortable. Let's get it kicking and going.
Okay. So I am Wendy. I am the oldest of six. A mother of three. I've been married twice, 31, originally from New Orleans, and I've been in Georgia a little over 12, 13 years.
I just heard your accent. I just heard it.
Oh, you just keep going?
Yeah, I just heard your accent. It just threw me. I was like, trip no. You said New Orleans.
But you know, my kids do that. They were like, Mom, so you just gonna talk like you from home, or you gonna talk like regular? And I'm like, well, this is regular.
Right.
So it depends on what I'm talking about. It might come out a little more than other times.
Okay.
But I've kind of done a lot of things. So I grew up saying, hey, I'm gonna be a cosmetologist. I'm gonna do hair. Anything I did, I just wanted to do it to help others.
Yeah.
So whatever the job was, it had to be something in the realm of helping someone else. So doing hair, helping somebody. Did it, hate it. So yeah.
What you hate about it?
I became a people pleaser.
Got you.
And anytime someone, like I would do their hair, they would go back home, change it, do something different, and then come back and expect me to fix it without charge.
Wish I might.
So I realized real quick I love women and I love my queens, but sometimes it depends on the environment, and I knew real quick cosmetology was just not for me.
Did you go to school for it?
I did.
Okay.
I went to school, I finished it. So next up I went to school for a medical assistant.
Okay.
Just something to help someone else. And the work-life balance was crazy being a mom, because I had to be.
How many kids do you have?
I have three.
Okay.
Adriana, Adrian, and Desiree.
With the two A's like planned?
So it was, but it's weird because they're 11 months apart.
So you wanted twins?
No, I didn't. So I tell anyone across the board, anyone that I know that's expecting and they're about to have a child, I tell them, when the doctor, physician, whoever tell you to wait 6 weeks in between after having your child, wait the 6 weeks.
Oh, you didn't wait the 6 weeks?
We didn't wait the 6 weeks.
Oh, so y'all waited how many weeks?
I don't know.
I'm going to ask all the questions.
I don't know how many weeks, but I just know that my oldest and my second is 11 months apart. And it became weird when they started school. So I don't know how it is in other states, but out here in Georgia, you have to wait until, you have to be, I think it's 5 by September 1st. But my oldest, her birthday is September 24th. My son is August 25th. So while she was waiting the year to start, they ended up starting at the same time. So growing up,
so everyone in the same grade.
Same grade. Start with
literally
A.
Almost the same age.
The name is close.
Names are close.
Yeah.
No identical twin, nothing.
Nope. And me and their dad laugh about it all the time. So his name is Andre.
So you got Andre, Adrienne, right? And
Adriana. Yeah.
And then you got,
Desiree.
Desiree.
So
she's like the oddball.
She's
out
the
of the whole
oddball
gang.
because I remarried.
Oh.
So moving forward and knowing what I know now, I mean, all of their names have special meanings, but I'm not gonna look into just naming them behind their father. So the A's came from the A, D came from the D. Her dad name started with a D.
I was going to ask you what's the dad name. I'm assuming it starts with a D.
Yeah, so, but she's his only child. And he had
Okay.
already been married. He's a little older in age. So her name came from Desired One. So their names have meanings.
Desiree means desired one.
Yes.
Never knew. That's dope. So what happened between you and your first marriage? What happened in the first marriage?
Oh man, the first marriage, infidelity on both parts.
Yeah, I was cheating on each other. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You threw me off with the both parts. Okay, so let's get into
Because I feel like people are not honest nowadays.
Absolutely.
We like to throw the man under the bus and say, "Oh, it was his fault."
I like dogging us.
But you know, and I was that person as well. I was that. Oh my God, they did me wrong. But at the end of the day, we play a part in it too.
Okay. So I want to go a little deeper into the playing the part of it. So from a woman's standpoint, what part did you play in the infidelity?
I played the, I know you're out there doing something, so instead of addressing it, I just did something too.
So yours, you just do you, I'm going to do me.
Mm-hmm. But then I got caught and it became a problem.
What was the problem?
I shouldn't be cheating.
That was what he was saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you feel about that as a guy? Because he was, obviously he cheated first.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, I know what you're doing, you're out doing your dirt, probably somebody I even know. And then he catches you cheating, and how does that make you feel as a woman that he's saying that pretty much you can't cheat, but I can? That's what it sounds like he's saying.
It was hurtful. It was hurtful because I feel like at the end of the day, across the boards, no matter who did it first, we both need to be held accountable.
Right.
And
Keep going.
okay, I feel like a lot of times it's easier for the man to cheat and get away with it versus when the woman cheat, it's always, why would she do that? What made her? But it's like nobody ever asks the questions of, like, how did she get to that point?
Yeah.
So, and I know it was immaturity. I got married at 19.
Okay.
We was married for 5 years, and we tried, like, even after he found out that I did what I did, and I knew something, I never had proof, but something in the back of my head kept telling me that he still was out there doing something. So I just got to a point where I'm like, okay, I know I'm not gonna step out anymore, but if we're gonna do this and make life work, we have to communicate better. That's a big thing for me right now in my life, communication.
So, do you think the miscommunication would cause infidelity?
Yes.
So where excuse me, where was the ball dropped in the communication that caused him to say, you know what, I got to step out? Was it like, like he's desiring more sex and you're not giving it to him, or he's wanting to do things just a little different? Like, where is it that the communication
things
was
a little different. So as I got older, I started to understand him a little more. So a lot of times we get in relationships with people and we don't really try to figure who they are. We all have a love language. We're all still our own individual self, right? But we get in relationships saying, oh, I want them to be this way, so I'm gonna change them.
Right.
But in reality, we really cannot change nobody if they don't really want it. And over time, as I got older, I realized that he was more into, and nothing against that, that's his preference, but he was more into having an open relationship. That's not something that I particularly want.
Was it something that you considered when did he bring it to your attention?
No.
Okay, so he didn't bring it to your attention, so it was more so like he just wanted to be like, yo, we're together, we're married on paper, but I'm gonna go out here and do me. You stay home, watch the kids. Were you working at the time?
I was, but you know, things are a bit, I don't know if it's another topic for another day, but things are a bit different. So I was a military wife. He was in the military. So things tend to be a little extra and it's a little bit more pressure. Well, in my opinion, if you already have the pressure of being a wife, you already have the pressure of being a mother, but then you have the pressure of, oh, that's the military wife. Or you gotta watch what you're doing on base, or you gotta watch what people around you, like you gotta watch your every move. So a lot of things you just gotta really pay attention to. So I feel like it was more of a burden as a military wife because I didn't really fully understand myself at that moment. But as I look back on it, I could have did things a lot differently. I could have communicated better on my end as far as my needs and what I wanted, and I didn't because I didn't know. But yeah, but we're cool now. We great co-parents.
Okay, that's good. So when you say you could have communicated better on your part, was that you taking fault and blame for him stepping out?
I wasn't taking fault and blame, but I feel like if I was more attentive, and I don't know if that's a blame or not, but I feel like if I was more attentive and I could have gave him more time, he probably still would have stepped out. But I feel like maybe it would have been a little different. Even after he found out that I cheated, I feel like if we would have took the time to just make more time for each other, because that's really, we just became parents. Let's focus on the kids. We got 2 kids. And I just wanted to focus on being a mom. So I didn't really focus on, you hear nowadays, still date. We wasn't really still dating each other. We just became parents.
So, because y'all got married at 19.
I was 19. He was a little older.
You were 19, and then he was a little bit older. How old? How much older was he?
7 years.
7 years. So you're married at 19. So he's like 26, 27, 27. So he's 27, still fairly young. And what was the deciding factor in you saying at 19, I want to be married?
So that was always something that I wanted growing up, but I grew up Pentecostal. So, you know, the whole church thing, they say you have children, you get married, but nobody ever talk about the leading up to that point. We're just like, so I feel like for me, now granted, still love him to this day, no love lost. I was in love with him, or I thought that was the love at that moment. And I enjoyed his company. I enjoyed being with him. Then Adriana came. So, you know, Adriana came, and we knew eventually we would get married. But on my side of the family, it was always, what's next? They push you, but they never, just because you have a child with someone don't necessarily mean you have to get married to them.
Correct.
And no one talks about that, especially in the church.
Right, yeah, for sure.
It might be some churches out there, but I know the ones that I've been to, I never heard that. It was always, you get married, you have a child of wedlock, that's a sin, you're going to hell.
Your whole life is over.
But nobody talks about, okay, all right, we here, the child is here, so let's figure out if this is best. Because sometimes it's better for the child if they see 2 happy parents. And that don't always mean being together. And I don't regret those 5 years, because I feel like in those 5 years and being a military wife, being a mom so young, it helped me to where I am now. And I knew I always wanted to be married again. And that second one was a bit different. So.
What was different about the second one?
So, you know, we date and we court, or the guy court the woman, and you have your dates and you have your time together. But a lot of people, I don't feel like I put on the facade. I don't feel like I put on the mask. I don't feel like I was somebody different while I was dating. But a lot of people put up a mask. And when I say a mask, they do things that the person like just to grab their attention, just to keep them around. And I could be wrong, but I feel like when we were dating and when we got married, it was 2 totally different people. And I waited a couple of years before I even decided to start dating. And that person asked me my ex-husband asked me more than once to go out on a date, and I was like, no, I'm okay. But I feel like once we got married, I mean, we dated 6-7 months. Some people date 6-7 months and together for 40, 50 years.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, for sure.
But sometimes, and I said moving forward, I want that person to be my friend, because I feel like the foundation needs to be there. And just looking at it now, we didn't really have a foundation. It was just dating. And it just got to a point after 6 months, hey, will you marry me? And it was like, okay, yes, you're cool. You treat me well. But we didn't really talk about what was needed. Like, we need to talk about finances. We need to talk about if one of us grow, are we okay with that? Because you're still growing in the process.
Absolutely.
What goals do you want to accomplish? Am I going to accomplish mine first, or are you going to accomplish yours first? Or are we going to accomplish them together? What are we going to do? We talked about credit, and we actually knocked out debt and everything. But as time went on, it was almost as if we were just going through the motion.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because I was so used to, so I'm always working. And I always tell people, I don't knock no one for being home and being a housewife. There's nothing wrong with that. I did it for a couple years for the first one. But that's just not something that I want to do. I feel like it takes a special type of man to really, truly appreciate a woman being at the house. Especially if they have the traditional mindset. A lot of people have the traditional mindset of, if you're gonna be home, you're gonna cook, you're gonna clean, you're gonna make sure I got my food on the table. But even with traditional, there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes things gotta change, especially with the times that we're in now.
Yeah.
Because everything was done. I cooked, I cleaned, I made sure you had your food, your uniform was ready, and the kids was good. But it's like, at the end of the day, we do 10 million jobs, and it's like, who's there for me? So when I started feeling like I was lost, it was like, what am I here for? For your finances? Because I was a single mother with just the two. I can make it work with the third one.
So you married another military guy?
He was not military.
Okay.
But he was financially stable. Like, we need to make some things work. We was able to make some things work when it came to finances.
Gotcha.
But it was just weird. Like, over time, things just started getting weird. And I always say in the back of my head, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but for my theory was, he wanted a child. And people get upset when I say that, but I'm like, if I'm in the middle of it, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
For sure.
But I feel as though he longed for a child. And Desiree is the greatest blessing. I don't know if you've seen baby girl, but she is full of life. She is busy. Like, she'll tell you her thoughts in a heartbeat and not even think about it at 5. And she is the greatest blessing from that marriage, and I don't regret it. But I tell people, once she came, things changed tremendously. Like, it was already slowly changing, but I was always used to, and I don't know if I can say this or not, but I was always used to, so you still be intimate.
Yeah.
Even when you're pregnant. But Desiree, that pregnancy, so my friends will tell you, both of my pregnancy, if I see people together, I'll be like, pregnancy was smooth. It was great. Like, I worked they had to tell me to stop working because I was still moving around. I still had energy. I was full of life. Like, but my first two, like Adriana, they had to induce me. They ended up knowing what I know now, you can go past 40 weeks. The hospitals tend to tell you some stuff. So
why did they tell us 40 weeks then?
They tell us 40 weeks. I honestly don't know the details of why, but once a child get here and get put in the system, that's that's a whole nother conversation when it comes to the U.S.
Enlighten me, please.
In my opinion, just from what I've learned, and don't quote me on it because I'm still learning so much in this life and in this walk, but the U.S. is a business.
For sure.
And the sooner you can get that child out to get a social security card and a social security number, your child is a part of the system. So, and like I said, don't quote me on it because I'm still learning so much, and I've been linking with so many different people walking on this new path and this new lifestyle that some things are just mind-blowing, especially when it comes to like documentaries that I've been watching, different podcasts. Like, it's just crazy the amount of information that is out there, but we're not seeing it because we're so focused on the nonsense. We're so focused on, there's nothing wrong with you watching TV and stuff, but there's so much other stuff that we need to be paying attention to that we're really not paying attention to. And especially when it comes to life. Like, we're so caught up on the different like series, we're so caught up on the sports, like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to start focusing on what's gonna bring wealth to my family. How can I make sure my family is good if something crazy go down?
Yep.
And how can I just make sure we good?
Yeah, for sure.
So Adriana was induced at 37 weeks. And like I said, my first two, they had to, like my son, he came a month early. He came a month early because we was moving to Fort Bliss. I had just had a funeral, a close family member had passed. So it was just so much going on within that time frame. It was the stress. So you know, everything that we feel, the child feel. So it was just a lot of stress. We was moving. We had just got to another state. I ain't had no family out there. So he ended up coming a month early. But I still tell people, what? I do it in a heartbeat. But when it came to Desiree, I was like, okay. I've never, like, I had hot flashes.
Really?
Never experienced hot flashes before until that pregnancy. I actually lost, the first 2 months, I lost 21 pounds. That's how sick I was.
But you ain't butt so big now.
Okay,
I did see a picture,
Now, butt so big now, so I am a size 2 now. Okay. But that came from taking out meat, taking out there. So people call it vegan, right? But there's so many definitions to vegan.
It's entirely true. Like, I stopped. Like,
so I don't even want to like.
Don't put a label on it.
Like, I tell people vegan so they can kind of understand.
Yeah, because so they can get it. Yeah.
I really like. I've been in the process. I'm not there yet, but I slowly just been writing everything about my life because I really want to have it in book form. And I keep saying I'm changing up the words, and I'm just saying it was a lifestyle change.
That's what I was gonna call it, a lifestyle change, because I just believe, like, with vegan, and they call the vegan supposed to be like the healthiest thing ever. But they call so many things that are vegan they're not vegan. I mean, they're vegan, but they're not healthy, should I say? Like, the processed
they're still
vegan,
eating a lot of processed stuff.
The processed vegan stuff. I had to stop eating that stuff because it's high in sodium.
But that's what happened to me. So so being from New Orleans, first and foremost, you know,
it's food culture.
We eat everything.
Absolutely.
We throw some seasoning on it and we make it work. We don't care what we got in the cabinet. We're gonna make it.
Ooh, so I need your I need your gumbo recipe.
So I have the recipe, but you know, I have been trying to master it as plant-based. So I slowly got the jambalaya.
Okay. I need that.
So my jambalaya, I still use rice. I know rice, pasta, all this stuff is supposedly not good for you.
What's the alternative that you would use for?
So for any rice thing now, I use quinoa.
Okay, I was thinking that.
Oh my God, quinoa has been my life.
Yeah.
My kids hate it.
Really? Because it's you have to. It's an acquired texture. It's not the taste of it, it's the texture. You can give it whatever taste you want to give it.
Right, but you can still put the peppers, the onions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you still see, so I'm so September last year, 2020, I finally watched What the Help. And I was like, well, I have a friend that's been vegan for a couple years. And they always talked about it, but it wasn't talking about it like, oh my God, you better or you need to. It was just, hey, this is what I eat. So I found it interesting, and I wanted to try to find some recipes to incorporate when I was cooking. And I finally watched What the Hell. So when What the Hell came out, I don't know if it was
years ago.
Yeah, so I was like, I ain't watching that. Like, I'm going to eat what I want when I want. And I finally watched it, and I was like, oh my God.
Messed you up, didn't it? In a good way.
Oh my God. So people do it in steps, right? Mm-hmm. You become either pescatarian, you take different things out. But I watched What the Hell. I went in my fridge and my cabinet.
Threw everything out.
And I threw everything out.
Really?
I promise you, my kids thought I was crazy. Like,
they was pissed with you.
They was like,
Mom, all the snacks, the
they was like, Mom, what are you doing? I was like, do y'all see what's on the back of this stuff?
Trash.
I threw everything away. When I tell you, I started completely over. Like, I didn't go from pescatarian. I just stopped buying it.
Really?
So the only thing I kept cooking for my children was I stopped eating it completely. But I kept cooking chicken and turkey.
Okay.
I would bake the chicken, bake the turkey, have it in the different dishes. But then I started slowly just stop buying it.
So your kids are vegan, plant-based, or
they're almost there.
Okay.
So I'm a fully vegan mom to semi-vegan kids because we still got my family.
Right.
We still got their fathers, so they still go and spend time with their dads.
Yeah.
So I did ask their dads if they could at least make sure the dairy continue to stay out, because I know that's one of the biggest things that we need to get out of our system. Mm-hmm. So they've been working with me as far as and then the older two, they kind of know. They'll be like, hey, we can't eat this, hey, we can't. But even Desiree, she'll be with her dad, and her dad will call me and be like, yo, you might have to start bringing her some food, because she's like, my mom don't cook this. My mom a vegan cooker. And I'm like, baby girl, calm down. It's okay. It's okay. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to make the unnormal normal.
So what was the thought process or the reason behind this big? It's a dramatic change.
It is.
It's a very dramatic change. So for you, what was the reason beyond it? Was it like, I want like peace and clarity, or what?
My dad's side, I lost a lot of family members to colon cancer. And once I started reading more documentaries, more videos, more books, I was just like, no, there's no way that we're supposed to be getting sick. And I keep hearing disease is hereditary, but it's not hereditary. It's based on, and I'm not telling any parent that they're wrong for what they ate when they were pregnant, right? But if we really look at it and think about it, for 9-10 months, we're feeding the child everything that we had. And I tell my son all the time, like, yo, I apologize. Like, it's because of me you got asthma. But we're going to reverse it. We're going to figure it out. And I promise you, just simply taking dairy out of his diet, every time the season would change, his respiratory is like crazy. But this past year, it has been so mild. And
because
I love it.
You took the mucus out of the system.
Yo, it's crazy.
I'm sure you didn't take all of it, because I just found out like some mucus is still good for you, because mucus, it holds on to like disease and stuff. Right. So it kind of holds it instead of allowing for it to spread to your body. But I believe, I think we all should incorporate, especially African Americans, should incorporate some type, even though you're not 100% committed, I believe we all should incorporate some type of plant-based diet into our week. Like if it's meatless Monday or meatless Friday, or if you say, well, I'm just gonna eat fish, or just slowly like weaning off a lot of stuff that's not really good for us.
Right.
I haven't had beef or pork in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then like every now and again I might eat some chicken, but like, I don't do dairy. I just can't consume dairy. It jacks me up. I already got enough mucus in me now. Like I'm always clearing my throat, but it's just, I just want to be a healthier version of me. I'm down 30, 40 pounds now.
That's awesome.
And I just believe if we want to see change, we got to be the change. And I think that's what you're doing for yourself, is being the change that you want, not just for yourself, but for your kids.
Right.
and you got to raise them up into human beings who can pretty much take control over their lives once they hit 18, 19 years old, and they got to start making decisions for themselves.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I believe you did a great thing. So I'm curious about these books in your lap, because you've had them holding on to them very tightly.
So
and I want to know about them, because you told me about them briefly earlier before we started, and I was like, I'm not going to ask now, I'm going to wait till later. But these books, because you holding on to them real tight.
Well, I'm constantly moving my chair, so I'm kind of like a klutz, and it'll be fell off my lap while we're talking. I'm like, you know what? Let me just hold it.
Okay, I thought I was like, they must mean the world to you.
And
Because you was
like,
look, you sitting like,
you know, when you nervous and you mess with your fingers.
Why are you nervous?
Yeah. So
do I make you nervous?
I'm not nervous like, oh my God, I can't be around you. I'm just nervous because, you know, I'm excited about being here, right?
It's a good nervous. Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is. I'm excited because, you know, I'm in a place of the worst thing someone can tell me is no. And I'm in a place of so I did a live this past Monday, and I've been shooting it to everybody. Yo, even if you don't reshare it, you might know somebody that's going through what I talked about in that live.
For sure.
And I was just saying, hey, just share it. So when you came back and was like, you want to talk about it? I was like, what? Let me get out and log back in and like.
Did you really just say that?
This person that I know you like record for other people, like, did he really just ask me, like, little old me? Like, so when I tell you from the time you talk, the time you sent that message until now, I have been thinking about it, and I'm just like, God, give me the words, give me the peace, put it in my heart. Like, I just been praying the entire time, like, yo, it's needed because nobody's talking about this topic. And I just feel like if more people talk about this topic, even if it's not to the extent that I'm talking about it, we can get more people healed.
For sure.
And these books, so it's a lot of papers too, because I kind of have notes, but this most important book was, so I was still married. Okay, so the book is from, I went to a group therapy session about abortion. And it's Surrendering the Secret by Pat Layton.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's an 8-week session, and it's different topics in there. It's different assignments. It's different prayers. It's different paragraphs of other people talking about their journey. So it's a healing process. So
the spiritual healing process.
Yes. And I didn't think I needed it.
Why not?
Because I was like, I talked about it. I forgave myself. I forgave that person. Let's move on. And this particular group, First Women's Clinic off of Roswell Road, I went in there for something else because I've been in the process of like trying to volunteer more. I want to start a mentoring program, so I've just been trying to connect with other people and just kind of get resources for when that time comes. I have resources to provide to other people because I tell people I'm not a minister, I'm not a pastor, but I want to find different things to link you to these people. And I went in there and they asked you several questions and they was like, have you ever gone through an abortion? And I was like, you know what, I did. And they was like, well, we have like different sessions, like it's kind of like counseling, but it's a group of women that has gone through the same experience, but they're dealing with it different. And I was like, oh, I think about it, but I don't think I need counseling for it or therapy, but I think about it. So to back up a little bit, 2018 was the time frame that me and my second husband was separated. And we kind of already knew at that point. We went through marriage counseling and we exhausted all options. And it just got to a point where we was like, you know what, we're just gonna move. We're gonna figure it out, but we can't figure it out together. But in that process, of course, still being married, people are like, well, you shouldn't have been there. It's life. But we separated, or still going through the separation process. I had a friend. Now, this friend, during this second marriage, I kept saying I would never cheat, I would never step out because I knew what it did with my first one. Yeah. Like, no matter how many conversations I had with people, the physical intimacy, like having that bond with another male, I just wasn't going to do that until I knew that we wasn't going to be together no more. And that's what happened. I had a close friend, and we started messing around, and it got to a point where, so I barely, if I get sick, we know I'm pregnant. Yeah, because I don't get sick. Like, if I get sick, it's like a cold, and I'm trying to hurry up and find some type of remedy, like do my teas, and that's it. But to be sick to the point where I'm throwing up, I'm like, yeah, let's go take a pregnancy test. And I sent a message, and I had a few people inbox me, and it was like, well, how do you know that that wasn't your husband's child? Well, at that moment, we wasn't being intimate. You know if you're being intimate with a person or not. People try to sit back and play dumb.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like, you know, especially if you had children before. You know the process, you know the time frame, but people just try to be like, oh no, that's his child, but knowing good and well that's not that person's child. Why are we still doing this? Like, we need to grow at some point. So I sent the person a message, was like, hey, this is what's going on, took a test, I'm pregnant. And you know, growing up, I couldn't say pregnant because it was like weird. We had to say with child. But yeah, it's so much behind growing up in a churchy household. It was like, yo, what the heck? What you mean we can't say pregnant? Is that like a bad word? Is that a cuss word? But yeah, we had to say with child.
All right.
So I'm sorry, yo. So I'm in a healing process across the board in every area of my life. So people think it's weird and they think something's wrong with me, but I'm like, no, something's wrong with y'all because y'all not talking about stuff that we need to be talking about.
Absolutely.
And told the person that I was pregnant, and they was like, do you really think it's time? Now.
Time for what?
To have another child. Do you really think it's time? So it's okay to lay down with you, and it's time to get down with you. It's time to have fun. But when it's time for someone to say, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm about to have a child, it's like we start questioning everything. Like, you sure? I mean, I was sure when I laid with you, but I guess that's not okay. And we got to start having those honest conversations too. Like, if we're going to lay down with these people, make sure we know if it comes to that point, especially if we're not covering up, if it comes to that point of having a child, will they be okay with that? And we got to stop waiting until it's time. We got to stop waiting to have the conversation after we become pregnant.
Got me thinking.
Because we're waiting.
Okay.
What you want to say?
Now I was thinking, like, you were talking on the topic of abortion, and once upon a time in college, an ex-girlfriend of mine told me that she was pregnant. And I was young and dumb at the time, and she asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, I don't know, let me think about it. And at the time, I was a big people pleaser. Like, I didn't want, like, nobody to be like, oh, because I was like looked at as the golden child. Like, I can't do no wrong. In college, I was wilding out. And so I was like, I don't think we should have a kid. So she went and got an abortion.
Okay.
And I went to go see her that weekend. She was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to, let's just go on about a weekend, and that's it. And it's not until we're having this conversation now that I'm actually really thinking, reflecting back on my actions as a guy, as a man. Though I was young, I still shouldn't have, I feel like I shouldn't have been able to made a decision for her. I feel like women's bodies are women's bodies, and that you all should be able to make the ultimate decision because, like you said, if you have the time to lay down and play and do whatever, you should be able to man up and take care of your responsibility. And you kind of gut punched me a little bit. I'm listening to you, but I'm kind of like dang, ooh, yeah. But I really respect you for that. Sorry, continue though.
No, yeah. You're good. I just want us to have more. The therapy oh my God, it opened up so much as far as different questions that I didn't really think that I needed to answer. And it's like, of course, I'm going through the separation. I haven't legalized my divorce, still married, still dealing with the kids, still working. So it was like, yes, I can handle it. But it was a pressure of, I really don't want this child.
And this is your close friend.
Supposed close friend. At that moment, I thought that was my close friend. And I say that way because so many times we consider people friends, but they're not really your friend. They're getting close to you to get what they want. Like, they can be around you for years, but they can still have a motive in the back of their head. Like, man, if that relationship ends, I'm gonna be there. Or if something happened, I'm gonna be there.
Not all guys are like that.
No, and you're right. No, you're right. But we tend to put everyone in the same category.
For sure.
And we have to stop doing that too, especially as women. And I get a lot of pushback sometimes because sometimes I'm there for my man because I'm like, not my man, but I'm there for our men, our kings, because so many times they get pushed back on, they this, they that. And I do so different when it comes to my kids' fathers, especially like the whole child support thing. Like, first of all, I don't want the people in my mix, the government. But I feel like so many times these guys have it hard enough as it is. And then they link with a young lady, and sometimes they only have a motive to get the child support. They only have the motive of, okay, I'm gonna see how much you make. And if a child come from it, then I'm gonna make you pay. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, who's suffering? The child is suffering.
I just had I guess you talking gave me the title for this episode. I'm not gonna say it now, but continue. I'm sorry. I just want to let you know because I think I'm being rude. And I tend to forget stuff.
So it's like I just want everyone to start being accountable and taking actions being responsible for their actions and being accountable and being honest. Mm-hmm. So many times we're not honest because we're trying to hold up this image of, oh, I was a good wife, or I was a good girlfriend. And at the end of the day, you can be all of that and have flaws.
Yeah.
Like I just posted on my page recently, I prefer peace over perfection.
Absolutely.
Perfection, it says, when I did the whole, just because I'm looking for it, it's not gonna pull up, right?
That's not always what happens. It always happens that way.
But it says, so many people is like, I'm perfect, I'm this and I'm that. And I don't care what you go through in your life, even if you don't go through the same situations as the next person, you have some type of flaw. And so the definition that I pulled up, it was like the condition, state, or quality of being free, or as free as possible from all flaws and defects. What human you know don't have some type of flaw or defect?
Jesus. No, playing with you. No, we all got them.
But we walk around here like, oh, I'm better than you, or you don't.
It's a combination of a lot of things because, like, there's upbringing, mm-hmm. there's society, there's social media, there's our friends, there's our family who put us in these boxes, and it's so hard to break out of them. Yes. It's super, like, I just broke out of my box maybe about 2 years ago. And it's been the most freeing thing ever.
You feel amazing, right?
I feel amazing, but at the same time, there's times where I still put myself back in that box.
Why?
Because it's just, I want to present myself in a way where I'm me. Like, people see me on social media, they know that's Jovan. They see me in the streets, they know that's still Jovan. But there's still like certain spaces of my life that I'm still fighting to break out of that box.
It's a process.
Oh, for sure. I didn't realize how long this process was. It's a very long, drawn out process. But for you breaking out of the box, what was it that said Wendy can't be this Wendy anymore? She has to be Wendy out of the box. What was it?
Just life. And I know that's like a weird answer, but it's like, so separated, almost 4 years, separated from my second husband. But January 29th, it'll make a year that we've been legally divorced. And I kept telling myself, there's no way I'm gonna go through life. First of all, I'm not about to get I desire marriage, but I'm not about to get married again and don't know who I am. I had so many titles. I had so many, so when we separated, I didn't really have the finances like I did when I separated from my first husband. So I'm working, and I still lose my place. Working, still lose my car. And I promise you, sitting in my aunt's basement, and I appreciate them so much because they took me and my kids in. It's not even a blood, it's a blood aunt now, but it's not even like a family aunt. It was just someone that we met when we came to Georgia. We came out here a year before Katrina. And they kind of became family because they was from New Orleans too. And
you just missed Katrina?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, my immediate family, but the rest of my family did not. So that was a lot in itself. So I went to high school here. I attended high school in Georgia. And my aunt, I loved them so much. They took in me and my 3 children. It's a 1-bedroom downstairs in their basement. And they was like, look, you gotta make it work. Do what you need to get back on your feet. It's here. And I feel like doing that process, I started meeting people. And what I've been learning is when you start thinking different and start wanting different, people that's different start coming around you.
Absolutely.
And you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because we'd be like, oh my God, I don't really know who you are.
That's mad uncomfortable.
Like, what are you here for? But not realizing that person can bring so much value to your life, even if it's not financially. They can give you some type of information that you just never heard of before.
Absolutely.
And it was in that moment when I started losing so much, but I had to keep a smile on my face to make sure my kids was good.
Yeah.
And this year alone, I was like, there's no way I'm losing my place again. Never lose, because you're still trying to explain to your kids, oh, we're just moving, without really, I'm open and honest with my kids.
Yeah.
But some details you try to leave out because you don't really want them worrying. So it was kind of like we're just moving somewhere until we get another place.
Right.
But in the back of my head, I'm like, yo, we just lost our place. What are we gonna do? I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to take another job. We just got another car. We using the family member's car for right now. The car is in the shop. Just little things to keep them off. I always want my children to still not miss a beat, even if the beat is not there. And this year alone, I kid you not, and I don't know if eating different kind of cleared my mind a little bit more, but this year alone, I started being open to change. And once I started being open to change, but even COVID, the pandemic opened up my eyes to so much. And I tell people I'm going to reconnect with a church. I'm going to find a church. Even if I go back to my old one, it's going to be different. But I had to break out of the sense of the traditional way of living.
New title.
Look, just write them all down.
I am.
So I had to break out of the traditional way of living, right? And COVID, when the pandemic hit, so I was a part of everything, like the youth, stuff in the kitchen. I was just a part of everything. And they would call, hey, you ready, you available? Pack up my kids, put on their little fancy dresses, fancy suit, and go. But the pandemic kind of opened up my eyes to my relationship with God is stronger. And I'm not inside the 4 walls. And once I started realizing that I can still have a relationship with God and not have all that extra attached, I started to feel amazing.
Yeah.
And it was like everything is not, and I still tell people I'm still waiting for the list of sins because everything was a sin.
Yeah.
And people feel like, oh, I'm knocking the church. I'm not. What I'm saying is the way I was raised, and I'm not knocking how I was raised because I love my parents. I love my family that was before me. They was only doing what they was taught.
Is this a church thing right here?
So it's kind of sort of like a stress. That's what I called it when I did my live. You funny. You funny. So the pandemic changed so much for me and opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. And when I went to therapy, they just started asking questions. Because I kept saying, so the first session when she first asked me to come, I went. Mm-hmm. But it was every week, 6 o'clock. And I'm like, yo, I don't know. It felt like every time it was time for me to go, something came up. Something was wrong with the kids. I'm like, yo, I cannot come. So after that course was done, she hit me up and was like, hey, we about to start another course. I would really love for you to come. And I'm like, you know what? If she really reaching out, let me just try it. Mm-hmm. So Desiree was actually at some sessions with me. She would just fall asleep on the couch. But I started realizing that even though I had said I forgave myself and forgave that person, I never really got to the core. And people don't realize that even though we don't talk about it, you still have some type of PSD from going through an abortion. Because you sitting here, it's a traumatic, I feel like when people talk about abortion, it's about, don't go, it's negative. Why? Like, it's always negative when someone talks about the word abortion.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying I'm trying to make it a positive word, but I'm saying I want people to address it, because just looking at me, would you have known that I had an abortion?
Not at all.
So imagine if this room was like, imagine we had like hundreds of people in here and we just did a survey and passed it around. It was like, hey, yes or no. And they was actually honest without people knowing who they were. It would be, I don't know the ratio, but in that class, it was saying 1 in 4 women has had an abortion. You know how many women we are around every day?
A lot, especially me.
1 in 4. But we just walking around, so, and that's what this is. We just walking around, we got a mask on. So we had to create a mask of, the mask I wore to hide my pain. Even though I went through that process, I didn't really realize that it was a traumatic situation. Exactly. I was 180, y'all, okay?
We got to show.
Dang, I didn't drop my teeth.
Mercy. Listen, calm your nerves, Wendy.
I'm so sorry.
This is Wendy.
Wait.
This
Baby.
Is Wendy then. Wendy now. Launch your stuff, girl.
So I was a size 12. I am a size 2 now.
The mask I wore to hide my pain. So this is post-abortion.
Yes.
Drinking, always available, not wanting help, always saying yes in relationships.
I felt like I felt like as soon as one relationship ended, I had to be in the next one.
Okay.
I ain't giving no time. You know what? All right, listen, let me start dating. Let me look through my phones. Who I need to talk to? So I just felt like I had to be in a relationship.
What was the reason why you thought you needed to always be in a relationship?
Just having someone there.
Did you not have somebody there as a child? Like that male figure?
No. So I had, or is it yes? But I had a male figure in my life.
Okay.
So my mom and my dad, they wasn't together, but my dad was still a part of our life.
For sure. Okay.
So things could have been different, but to say that he wasn't there, I could never say that.
Okay.
Things could have been different, but
yeah, for sure.
You know, when you raised in a single family home, that's a lot in itself, and it's different.
Gotcha.
But for relationships, I just always felt like, so I got married at 19. So as soon as I got out of school, I was married. So I'm at the house, I'm with someone every day. So going through that process, I never really just took time out to say, you don't have to be a part of someone's life. You don't have to be in a relationship. You don't have to always be connected to connect with yourself.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. Connect with yourself. I said every year the church do some type of theme. The year of Pentecost, the year of this, the year of that. But sometimes we got to start saying the theme for us.
Right, the year of Wendy, the year of Jovan. Yeah, for sure. I think I agree 1,000% because what happens is when you're wearing a mask, you wind up becoming what you're covering up. Mm-hmm. You said relationships, always saying yes, the drinking, always available, not wanting help. Right. You embodied all of that. Mm-hmm. And just the relationship aspect of it alone is an embodiment because you're bringing in other people. Mm-hmm. And you're bringing in other people's people. It's not just the person you bring into your life, it's the person that they've been with.
Right.
Have they asked themselves, have they healed from their past relationships? You know, and I believe in relationships, these are questions that we have to ask. Mm-hmm. Because
and nobody's asking.
Nobody's asking them. You know, when I ask a girl, like one of my top questions is, what's your relationship with yourself? Mm-hmm. What's your relationship with God? What's your relationship with your past? And I believe these are very important questions to ask because in our decision making, what happens is we get caught up in the exterior that we forget about the interior of a person until we wind up meeting them and we're like, yo, this joint is wild. This is crazy. Why am I still in this? And I want to unpack the always available on here.
So always available. I was always, not anymore, but I was always the yes woman. Mm-hmm. No matter how crazy my day was, no matter how much I had to do with the kids, I was always the yes woman. Can you bring me here? Can you drop me off? Can I get a ride? I was just always available. Mm. And I'm telling you, it wasn't going through those courses that I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Like, I didn't really start doing that until, I'm there for who I need to be there for. Because I have a crazy support system. And if they call me, I'm like, yo, I'm going to be there. Because I know if I need you for my children.
They got you.
They got me. Mm-hmm. And that's what we got to start talking about. Like, we need to be available to the ones that we know that's available to us or can help us to a capacity.
Sure.
We're always helping people out. We're always being there. We're always saying yes. But if we was to call them, if we was in a bind, they're busy. Something's gone wrong. I'm tired. So it's like we do so much of putting ourselves on the front street of just saying yes. And it's like when we really need someone and we're really in a dark place, who are we talking to? We can't talk to nobody. So I started slowing up on saying yes. I started slowing up on being available. I started slowing up on, do this mean well to me and my children? Like now, my family think it's weird, but I'm at peace with it. I told myself no more funerals. Mm.
When you say no more funerals, what do you mean?
No more attending them. Like, okay. I attend, like, the thing afterwards to see the family. But I don't want to attend it no more because I feel like, and I don't know, maybe it's other cultures too, but I feel like our culture tend to always link up when it's time to lay someone under. Mm-hmm. But we're not being intentional about having the gatherings
for sure
before or while they're still here. And I told myself, like, if I feel ill about it and it rubs me the wrong way, especially now, I think long and hard before I make a decision. Like, I'm not just saying, okay, but then while I'm doing it, I'm like, why did I say yes? Why am I here?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to have those conversations before I get there.
Yeah.
So that's what it was for me. I was always available. Now, I started drinking from New Orleans. I started drinking way before the drinking age, but it started to become more intense. Like,
was that like after the abortion it became more intense?
I do feel like it was after the abortion because
go ahead.
Beforehand, I would always tell people, no, I don't drink. but I'm at home pouring it up. But
what was your go-to? What was your go-to?
What was my Parmesan. And the chef I work with, they'll tell you I'll do some bourbon in a minute.
I mean, that's my go-to drink, some bourbon. But I don't think I've ever heard a lady say Paul was her go-to.
Parmesan, every flavor, especially mango. Yo,
they made more flavors?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah, I would drink a whole thing of Parmesan in 2 nights by myself. Sometimes a night. Go to sleep, get back up, and keep it moving. So it wasn't bad to the point where I was abusing it.
Yeah, you were functioning.
But I was like, I need a drink. I would get home, especially when the pandemic hit afterwards, I need a drink. I'm leaving Publix, I'm dealing with, I need a drink. Give me my glass, please make sure it's cold, and I'm drinking. And that's even weird now, because it's been since December since I've had alcohol.
December
December
2021?
December 2020.
Wow, congratulations.
So, yes. So every so often the chef will be like, yo, you need to pour it out with us. We need a shot.
What's up?
And I did. And look, I just said I didn't have nothing since. So I did a shot a couple months ago. And if your body is eating different, and then you put something like that toxic on top of it, you about to feel it.
And it's probably why I can't drink like I used to.
Oh my gosh. When I tell you that one little, now I'm telling you, if you ask anybody who knows me, they like, yeah, she'll drink. I'll drink some men.
So wait. Hold on. Before you go, 2020, you were Slim Wendy.
2020, I was slowly, so I was
like
still.
In between her and.
Yeah, I was so I was like a 8.
I don't know what an 8 looks like.
So I was still a little thicker, but it was definitely some changes, like to the point where I knew it was some changes, but I was still working and still functioning. It wasn't until I started putting my clothes on and I'm like, okay. Right. But then my family started asking questions like, are you okay? You sick? I'm not sick. And our problem is, and what my friend had to bring to my attention is, we lose weight, but we still wear the same clothes. So if we still wearing the same clothes and we're smaller, you're gonna look like something's wrong with you.
Absolutely.
So if you start adjusting, so now I wear clothes that I can fit now. Now you can see my actual size.
Right.
I would still have on my big old medium large shirt and size 10, 12 pants. I'm like, okay, it's cool. I just put a belt on. Keep it moving. But if you're walking around and your family and your friends seeing you, they're like, yo, something is wrong. Like, we can see the difference. I don't know if she can see the difference, but I started going through my clothes, and that's what I had to be aware of too. I was holding on to it. So I'm like, man, I might gain the weight back. I might. But even with clothes and even with relationships and even with things, we have to just let it go. And if we got to start over, it's okay to start over. But we holding on to stuff with the possibility of getting back in it or getting back together, knowing good and well we don't need it. And I was just holding on to because I'm like, I'm gonna gain this weight back. I love to eat. But it was, so you still see, and I don't know everybody's lifestyle and diet, but you still see a lot of thicker vegans, right? People look at me and they like, you lost everything. You not, like my manager saw me and was like, yo, we used to know when you was coming. And I'm like, hold up. I was not. I was not that big, okay? Don't do that. But the eye is appealing. So most men, they're looking for the woman to have a big old butt, the hips, the shape, the everything. I'm like, I still got shape. It's fine. It might not be as much as it was, but I feel good. I can outrun you. Like,
you might outlive a lot of us too.
So I'm like, you talking about massage, you talking about this, but on the inside, I feel great.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I thought I was going to be pescatarian, honestly, after a few months. And my sister had some seafood, and I took some shrimp, and I instantly became sick. And I think it was because I had cut everything all out at once. So cutting everything out, like I did cold turkey. I wasn't doing chicken, turkey. I had been stopped doing pork and beef, but I wasn't doing nothing but fruits, veggies, mushrooms. I started off with Beyond Meat. I would never touch another Beyond or Impossible.
I really don't care for the taste of it. Like, it has a very weird taste.
Once everybody started using it,
I think that's what happened. Like, everyone started using it, and it just got weird to me. Like, now I just use, I just recently did a 2-week raw diet. Oh my God. And I used walnuts for some tacos I made and some lasagna I made. And it tastes just fine to me. I can really, I don't know. I just gotta make a decision, truth be told. I can really just go full out vegan and be cool.
But take your time doing it, because people always ask me, how did you do it? How did you do that? Like, I even did meal prep for a couple people.
Really? I know that when I was on this thing on fast.
But when I tell you so if I ever do it again, it gotta be one of those, hey, I'm making this, pull up, XYZ. But to do things to cater to different people, like I actually had one person saying, yeah, I can't eat the same thing for 5 days.
I can.
But they came to me. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Like,
I eat spaghetti all week.
Look, man, I just made some spaghetti the other night, and the kids, we eat on it. We make garlic bread, so I get them involved, and that's what I've been doing more of, like just getting them involved in the process. Hey, cut this up. Hey, do this. So we don't buy garlic bread anymore. We make our garlic bread. We get the French baguette, because it's a lot of breads, and I know some things I probably shouldn't still be eating, but I still love bread. So I just find the bread that don't have dairy. And most of the baguettes, the French bread, don't have dairy. And we just cut that up, put garlic on it, put it in the oven, we make our own garlic bread. And so just getting them involved, just trying to make it normal for them, because I know that I'm not going back. And I have no intentions on going back. Because I just feel good. My mom still tells me, like, even with the myth of people telling us we were supposed to have milk because it was supposed to make us strong, and like,
not breaking bones.
Who told us that? Why? Like, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and I was like, yo, because I still stopped just a couple hours at Publix, and I was stocking one of the cans that had Popeye on it. I think it had to be spinach, but why nobody talk about that and how he took out spinach to become strong? Like, they didn't say, oh, give my gallon of milk. Like, it don't make sense. But this lifestyle has been amazing. Yeah. And in this journey, because I've been in the self-love, the self-healing, the self-awareness journey. And now I'm in a place of, so once we completed the sessions, they did a ceremony at the end.
Really?
They didn't want to tell us until close to the end because they didn't know how we would feel about it.
True.
So they did a ceremony. And before I talk about it, I just want anyone that sees this and they're a woman, they had an abortion, it's not your fault. Because a lot of times we're not the ones making this decision. We're either with someone who don't want it. We either have parents, because I've noticed it's a lot of parents that's pressuring their kids to get it. Now, if you get it, hey. But we need to do some healing afterwards, because it's going to continue to trickle down into your relationships, your life, your decision making, and we don't really realize that that trauma is a part of how we really feel because we haven't really addressed it.
Yeah.
So we got to the end of the sessions, and it was a ceremony for our unborn children.
Ooh.
Right? So before that ceremony, the class before, they was like, hey, try to, if you want, you don't have to, but come up with a name.
Ooh.
Yeah. Come up with a name. So I'm like, man. So in that, I think it's inside of there. It's like a little pamphlet. They said, come up with a name.
So I saw that. I wanted to ask you about that.
So the Memory Rose Garden. And on the back it has the group name, First Care Women's Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all can go in there for anything. They do pregnancy tests. They do sexual transmitted disease tests. They do ultrasound. They have a list. I mean, they have other therapy groups. If you feel like you need therapy, just go in there and talk to them, and they'll point you to the right people. But that pamphlet. So anyone who has gone, because they've been doing these classes for some years now, and anyone that has gone through the course and completed it, and you got to the end, whether if you actually come up with a name or you just put your name or put like a quote or something, they have a garden. They give us the little, is it a plaque? Well, it's not a plaque, but you know when a person dies, you get the thing. It's on the inside, and they put the
This?
yeah, and it's kind of like a.
I don't know what it's called. We call it a plaque.
Yeah.
It's not a plaque, but a name tag or name badge.
Yeah, like the stone that will go over the gravesite.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, it's not. We don't actually have a gravesite, but you know
No,
how
they were giving y'all tombstones?
that's what it's called. That's what it's called, but it's not actually a tombstone. It looks just like that.
So we call it a memorial?
It's a memorial. So it would be a memorial wall, or it is a memorial wall at the garden. So we got to the end. They say, "Hey, come up with a name." They put it on there, and I didn't even think to bring it, but they put it on there, and you either put the name or a quote, or you might want to put like a portion of a scripture. And the ceremony, it was a table. They had the candles for each person and the amount of, because believe it or not, people are not just having one abortion. People are at 5, they're at 6, they're at 7, maybe even more. And I only bring this up because I feel like for me, it kind of became personal because I'm like, yo, I only had one. And to know and hear so many other women are constantly going back, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But to hear that they're constantly going back, I just want to know, how can we help? How can we address it? Who can I direct you to if I'm not the one to get you to where you need to be at? Because if we're at a place where we just constantly going back, like we just going for a pap smear and it's just a checkup, we got to start getting to the core of what's wrong. Because that's really all it felt like. So I went through the clinic, sat in the waiting room, had the person with me. We drove up in separate cars, got in his car, drove up to the clinic, and went to the back. They did so, you know, I've had children before, so you get emotional, you have excitement behind it, but it's like when they did the ultrasound to tell me how far along I was 6 weeks at that moment. And I had no emotion. I think I had already clocked out. I had no emotion. I wasn't like, oh, like I just looked at the sonogram like, okay. And I remember all the way up until I got to the table. Like, got on the table, don't know none of these people from Adam or Eve, if they had credentials, if they was really a doctor, really a nurse. I just saw people in scrubs. Okay, procedure time. Like, when have we ever heard someone say, I took a course on having an abortion? I went through the process of knowing how to perform your procedure. Everybody's body is different, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you know how to do my procedure different from that person's procedure? We just going in and doing the same thing for everybody? Yeah. It don't make sense. I've never heard no one say that they took a course or a class or went to school on how to perform an abortion. I've never heard that in my 31 years of living. So I got on the table, got up there. Women, we know, like, just open your legs like you're having a pap smear. And I don't remember, I know they gave me, they did the IV. I don't know what was in the IV, but whatever it was, it sedated me. So when I got up, I was in the recovery room. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember how long I was on the table. But when I got up, I was in the recovery room. Hey, wake up. Juice and crackers. Get dressed. Because you had to change into your gown and everything. But I remember all the way up into they gave me the IV. But even afterwards, and I'm so grateful for meeting these people because I didn't know anyone in this group. And I feel like that's what we need. We need to start linking with, there's nothing wrong with being connected to who we're connected to. But in order to grow and heal, sometimes we got to find other people to have a conversation with. So I didn't know the teachers. I didn't know the other young women that had abortions. It was just being free, having a conversation, actually talking a little deeper about how you really feel, having conversation. Like they had assignments in here, like we going back, like even with the one with the mask, like we going back home, reading over the next chapter, being ready to talk and have a conversation for the next group. And all of those women were so amazing. Like we decided we're gonna connect afterwards, but sometimes we need that. And a lot of people don't talk about how they're going through so much, because we all have trauma, even if it's not abortion. And nobody's talking about how we're not addressing it, because we was always taught, okay, we dealt with it, forgive, move on. But it takes a little bit more than that. Sometimes you have to have the deep conversation. Sometimes you have to say, you know what, I went through this, I went through that with that person, I forgive them, I forgive myself. Okay, what's next? Like, is this connected to my decision making? Is this connected to my relationships? Because I still felt like I needed to be in a relationship even after that. And I'm still trying to go through my divorce. Like, I haven't really, we have to start making sure we close things off before we start something brand new.
Yeah.
Because we starting something brand new, but we still haven't really fully closed that off.
That last chapter.
So, it was amazing. And that helped me in so many ways, even the ceremony, because it's like, what? We get the name? We don't know if it's a girl, we don't know if it's a boy.
I got a question, because I'm feeling a little uneasy about this portion of it.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're cool. It's just like, I'm just thinking, like, I'm looking at this memorial rose garden, and you have these nameplates that you all, in memorandum of your unborn child. Mm-hmm. And does that, because they're taking you through this 8-week program, and are they re-traumatizing you at the end?
I don't think so, because I feel like the way they go about it, because it's always how we approach it, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like the way they go about, like they was even saying how, because like my children are part of everything, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna bring my kids, I'm gonna bring my sister, like I'm gonna bring people with me so we can not really close off this chapter, but celebrate this life. So once we got, so the last one is share the journey. Okay. So the piece of release, and then share the journey. So it was at the piece of release. So from grief, okay. So let me do. So each session, the first session, where have you come from? The second session, sharing a secret, a spring in the desert. Session 3, walk in truth. Session 4, a time for anger, tearing down roadblocks. Like we went through some stuff. Like we had some conversations. Yeah. Session 5, forgiveness, a giant step toward freedom. Session 6, from grief to the great exchange. Session 7, the piece of release. So once we got to the piece of release, we had already had these conversations, and they kind of already, so they are amazing at what they do. So we kind of was already at a place of, okay, we can see that they so you're not really fully healed. No matter how much therapy, how much counseling, you're not really fully healed.
Absolutely.
But to get to the core, that's what we really need to get to make sure we start making better decisions.
Makes sense.
So once we got to the piece of release, it was like, okay, so if they would have told us at the beginning, a lot of us probably would have never came back.
Absolutely.
Because it was like, whoa, wait, you want us to name somebody we ain't ever met? And that's what they said. They say we usually wait to the end because we want to make sure that you kind of went through the different steps to get to this point. And a lot of people named and some didn't. So you have a choice. You could just go through the ceremony and be there and be a part of it. And you don't have to, they don't force you to give a name. Like, you can just go up, light a candle, and leave it at that. So I thought about it. Like, from the piece of release to the ceremony, I just kept thinking about, if I was to name, because you don't know. It could have been a girl, it could have been a boy. I already got my 2 girls and a boy. Of course, if I have another one, I want another boy.
Yeah.
But I just kept saying I wanted it to be something that it could go either way. So it wasn't until I drove to the ceremony, I was like, royalty. I came up with the name royalty because I feel like at the end of the day, we're all kings and queens. Or we all supposed to be treating ourselves as kings and queens. And I just felt like for royalty, it could have went either way. Yeah. We're royal. We're supposed to be of a royal kingdom. Like, we supposed to be like God. And royalty stuck with me. And then I love purple, so purple is supposed to be of royal. Yeah. And I was just like, yo, I gotta go with royalty. And they give you the little card. I posted it on my page, but I didn't even think to bring the card and the candle. But I put it on there. They have you get up, light the candle for however many you had. And they give you white roses for the child, the amount that you had, and the red rose for yourself. And the ceremony was so amazing. They sung songs. They had different like food choices afterwards. It was really amazing, and I was so happy that I even got to that point, because the first time they asked me to come, I only made it through 1 class. So I was like, ugh.
That's tough.
So to get to that, because I kept telling myself, no matter what. Sometimes I was late. I was like, but no matter what, I'm going to finish. I'm going to get through this,
trying to find it on your page.
Course. It is, ooh.
Now continue talking. I'm going to find it. Yeah. I'm going to find it.
And oh my God, it was so amazing. And I'm so happy that I went through it, because what I'm starting to learn and realize, people always say they have, some people say they have regrets. Yeah. And I always get the question of, do you regret being married? Do you regret having children? Do you regret the abortion? And I do not regret the abortion. And I say that to say, it was meant for somebody else. Yeah. And it wasn't until I went through these sessions and I actually got to the core of my trauma. I didn't really have no trauma like that. Like, I was married, got divorced, life happened. Yeah. But that was a trauma for me. And I feel like I was supposed to be there at that time, on that table, at that day, with that person to be here. Because no one is talking about this topic.
Absolutely.
And I just want someone to say, you know what? I really addressed what I needed to address. I really got a chance to talk to someone. I really got a chance to really find myself, because that's really an issue too. It's like people are living for other people. Yeah. I'm living for my mom. I'm living for my dad. I'm living for my spouse. But how many times do we ever say, like growing up, and every household is different, but growing up, how many times did someone say self-care is important?
I never heard it.
Self-care is a priority. And if we can't really fully like care for ourselves and make sure self is good, we can't really to 100% capacity help somebody else.
Not at all. Not at all. It's no way possible.
So it's just been, so I'm at a place where I'm like, and the young ladies, because I was like, can I say y'all name? Because they're open because they want more people. So the end of the session, it says share your journey. They want you to go out there and talk to other people. They want you to bring other people to them. And they just kept saying how they was like, this is bold for you to do social media. And I'm like, a lot of people is on social media.
A lot.
And I'm like, if I can just help one, like you always hear in the church, and we could just save one person. I always reference the church. Like, I grew up Pentecostal, okay? Like, Pentecostal, couldn't wear pants, couldn't do.
Coaching, so I know it.
Look.
I know it all the way.
Look. So, if I can get across to one person to say, you know what, I gotta address this. We ain't gotta go back and try to fit. Like, I don't want to talk to the dude. If I see him on the street, hey, how are you? I hope all is well. So we don't have to go back. We feel like healing and getting to the core. Like even like after my first marriage, I kept wanting to know why. Why it ended? Why again? I'm just 30. Like what? Why? But we be so caught up on the why that we're losing focus on the present. We losing focus. We losing time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what that person tell you, they're really not going to be fully honest with you. So why are we so caught up on the why? For what?
I guess because it's that curiosity, the humanistic curiosity as to, was it me or was it them? You know, I think a lot of times when situations break apart, we always look at ourselves first, even if we know we weren't in the wrong.
Right.
You know, it's like we always do that self-evaluation or that, you know, that negative self-talk that's saying it was I first instead of saying, you know, it wasn't me. Right. And then gracefully walking out of a situation that we know is toxic to us or is not good for us and saying, you know, I went through this, yes, it was cool, but I gracefully walk out because I know at the end of the day, I done everything that I can do to walk out of this. I've done everything I can do to make this a peaceful or happy situation. It just didn't pan out that way. Okay. And that they're just greater for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
No, thank you. Seriously, like I said, this is a topic no one's really talking about. And as you've been talking, I kind of just been like thinking about like just abortion itself and just like that, just the unborn portion of it. Like this really like struck a nerve inside of me, like just thinking about all of the unborn children and just thinking about the women who have to kind of go through abortion alone or who are still suffering in silence. And nobody's talking about that to help women just get this off their chest. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you know, just coming from a guy's standpoint, thinking like outside looking in, I just believe like if women can just get this one thing off their chest, if they've gone through it, if they've experienced it, how much different would life be for them? Oh my God. Like, could they be more radiant? Could they be more, you know, bold to come and speak up about this or go through the 8 steps or the 8 weeks like he went through?
No, it would open up so. Well, for me, it has opened up. First of all, just being honest, just walking in my truth. Yeah. Just not allowing anyone to treat me any kind of way. It has opened up so many doors. Yeah. It has opened up so many, like, I think it just makes you think about, you know what? So in one of the sessions I said, we might have lost a child, but it's okay because now our purpose is going to be fulfilled. And it might sound weird, but it's like we go through so much in life, but we're not realizing that every experience is not always for us.
Mm-hmm. That's the hard pill to swallow.
It is.
It's so hard to swallow that pill.
It is. And I appreciate you for having me.
I appreciate you for coming. Seriously, because it's just, this podcast is a space for like vulnerability, and it's super hard to be vulnerable about things that you've closed off to the whole world, or things that you haven't shared to the whole world just yet. There's been people on this podcast who like, this is the first time I'm sharing this story. I'm like, wow, like I'm honored. I'm very honored to sit next to people to just share their stories and to help somebody else. Like you said, if you can just help one, you know, even if just one person views this, and the right one person views this, who's gone through an abortion, who may like, yo, I need to reach out to her. I need to, like, you know, how does she get through these steps of abortion? And like, you know, how does she, you know, how did she get so free to tell the story? You know, I'm cool with that. That's what I'm cool about my podcast, is that it's a platform not just for me, it's a platform for people to, you know, start their healing journey. Like you said, healing doesn't end. It doesn't. Like, it's just, regardless, you can go through one traumatic event in your life, just one, and you will remember that one event for the rest of your life.
Right.
That's what trauma does. It beds itself inside of your brain, inside of your DNA, inside of your heart, inside of your bones, and it stays there.
Right.
But the thing is, you got to learn to live with it, and don't let it become bigger than you.
Exactly.
And I think that's what you did. You didn't allow your traumatic experience to become bigger than you. So I'm gonna do a quick commercial real quick, and I want you to just close us out with something powerful. Well, you said a lot of powerful stuff. So if you got something else in you, you got anything left in you, just go and spew it out, and then let everybody know how they can find you. And if you want to put them in contact with this place right here, please do so for sure. Because I want somebody to just know, like, this is where they can find it. So this episode is sponsored by the Emboldened Institute. The Emboldened Institute is my text line, my text community, my platform where I encourage and help people through traumatic events. So I have two things that I'm doing right now. I'm doing a affirmation, so you get daily affirmations directly to your phone, and I text out text messages that help you heal through whatever that you are experiencing or whatever you are going through. So text me at 404-476-6780. That's 404-476-6780. Text me the word heal or the word affirmation. In whichever community you want to be in, text me. You get daily messages throughout the day. That's pretty much just helping you along your journey of your healing process, of what you may be going through, what you may be experiencing. If you need some affirmation, you need some more love, you just need just a little pick-me-up to kind of get you through the day, the Emboldened Institute is here for you. Wendy, close us out.
So, I'm Wendy, and I am so grateful for this opportunity and this time to share my story. To help someone else. I actually went through an 8-week session at First Care Women's Clinic. They're at 615 Roswell Street in Marietta. And I was trying to sit and figure out, okay, what do I say? Do I say a prayer? Do I say something? But in the back of this book, I feel like it would help, anybody. You can replace it with the words that you need to replace it with. So it says to women, but it can be to men or to my child or whoever. But it says, prayers to the woman on my journey. To the women on my journey who showed me the ways to go and the ways not to go, whose strength and compassion help hold up a torch and beckon me to follow. To the women on my journey who showed me how to live and not to live, whose grace, success, and gratitude lifted me into fulfillment of surrendering to God. To the women on my journey who showed me what I am and what I am not, whose love, encouragement, and confidence held me tenderly and nudged me gently. To these women, I say bless you and thank you from the depths of my heart, for I have been healed and set free through your joy and through your sacrifice. I am grateful for the blessings you have been to me. And I say all that to say sometimes we got to be grateful for the good and the bad. Like we always say, oh, it gotta be good, it gotta be good. No, sometimes the bad is good too, because sometimes the bad help us appreciate the good a little bit more. And that's all I have, and this was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, y'all, it gets no better than that. That's another episode of Living Blessed, the podcast. We are out. Peace.